Hello sewers, Maureen here. Today I've been playing around with testing out the Mariner's compass, and I've quite enjoyed doing it, even though it is a little bit fiddly. This is my test block, and there are a few little minor sort of glitches, and that's helped me work out a few things. Now the circle in the centre, that's the last thing you put on. I haven't decided how I'm attaching that yet, so that will go on after. So that was my test block. Now what I've done is I've decided to package up a few to leave at the shop, and I'm going to put the small pieces, because there are a lot of them, in separate little bags like this, because what you'll notice when I show you this is that a lot of the pieces are mirror images. So you can see there's a notch there on B and a notch there on H, and these have no notches, and then you've got I and J and C and G which go in the middle. So you kind of need to sit them on there and figure out what is the correct shape that you're looking at. So I've made it on A4 so I can photocopy it for you, so you can lay them out if you want to try it. I wouldn't recommend this block for a beginner, but if you're persistent and you are happy to make sure you've got a good 1/4 inch seam all the time, you'll be fine. One thing I did discover was on this final curve is that I needed to reduce my seam slightly, and I'll talk about that when I get there. So as always, the first thing I recommend you do is put your pieces out so that you can be familiar with them. This is K, which is your corners, and this is L, which is your centre. E is one of the points, A is your bigger one, and then you've got C and G for your small points. So these two, D and B, cover up or go beside that one, H and F go beside that one, and they each have their own little bit on the bottom. So you need to make sure that you've got them in the correct position, because D has no notches, F has no notches, but B and H do have notches, and these little ones need to be the right way round as well. So start by taking out these, and you can chain sew them because there are 4 of each that you need to do. So lay them out for yourself so that you can see the way they go. If necessary, put little sticky labels on like that, which are really easy to peel off, but don't iron them on. So no notches in between, just lay them on, match them up, and when you've sewn H to G or F to G, whichever side you decide to do first, iron open the seams. And then after these two are sewn on, you sew on J at the bottom. Now you will know if you've got J the right way round, because there's a notch here where they match, and a notch on the side which tells you it has to be the same side as here. So if you put it on this way round and the notch is here and there's no notch here, you know you have to twist it. So you need to turn it round like that. That's a bit sticky because I put glue on it. Now that's the other set, and they look virtually the same, but what they are mirror images of each other. Now when you've put those together, that will allow you to add the next piece of the puzzle. So what we're aiming at doing is making 4 sets which are going to look like this. And without this piece on, this piece here, if we look at just this piece here, that's what that looks like when it's sewn together, and that's what that one looks like. So they are just mirror images. This piece in here is piece E, which is your medium point, and then the whole plan is that eventually you'll have 2 halves which look like this. So because it's very time consuming, and of course I'm going slow because it's only the second time I've done it, I've constructed most of that block, and I'm just going to show you the quarters here how you put those together. So they're quite simple. I've got these ones and these ones, the same as I showed you one here. Sorry, I shouldn't have put them over there. Okay, so this is the one with D. This is the one with H and F, and I've put E in the middle. Now then we have A, and we feel like we need to put A on there, but we don't do that yet. And I'll show you what comes next before we put the A on there. So let's do these two. So all we need to do now, we need to remember we've got those two, and we have E in the middle. Now I can take these off now because I've got notches on the outside, no notches in the middle. It's a nice, easy, straight seam. Most of this block, the seams are actually fairly easy. The trickiest ones I found were these little ones here because they were so little. So pop that on top, line them up. Now you can have E on top like that, or you can flip it over so you can see that. But I actually want to have E on top to make sure that I am matching those up. Now it's the same seam all the way through, 1/4 inch. And I've got my 1/4 inch seam on. And once you've started, make sure your seam underneath is still flat. Tends to do a little wobble when we go over those. It's a little bit thick. You might want to check it at the end. Make sure your ends are matching and the sides. Now if you're finding anything a bit tricky, you can use your stiletto or your purple thing to hold things together just to keep it nice and neat. And sometimes it can help you keep those seams down out of the way. So when you get to the end, and I chain pieced them last time, I did all 4, but I stopped so I could show you the last one. When you get to the end, you're going to give it a quick press. Although first I should check and make sure I'm matching and that this seam is flat. If you do curl that seam up, don't take the whole thing out, just take out a couple of stitches and reflatten it and stitch. So just a press to set the seam, and then of course we're going to open it with our finger. It's a little bit bulky here, but it will work. And open that seam. The reason the seam's open is because there are so many of them. So just press that down. Now you can see how I've twisted that. All I need to do is just go back, poke it down again, and give it another little hard press there. Now I'm going to turn it over, look at the front, make sure it's all flat, and actually I'm going to give that a little bit of steam because all these little lumpy bits here like to get a little bit of a press. And I'll just turn my steam off so I don't burn myself. So that's what 1/4 looks like before you put the corner bit on, that corner arch. And that's what comes next before you put on A. You feel like you want to put A in, but you need to follow the instructions because A, the point of A, comes into that arch. Now what you're looking for is, have you left enough space here? If your seams are good, you'll see nice points. So now we take